What's up, and welcome to Shop Talk. Shop Talk is a weekly live show where me, Brian Harris, teaches you one practical thing you can do to grow your business. I'm coming live from Franklin, Tennessee, the suburbs of Nashville, and I run a company called Growth Tools, and we make it nearly impossible to fail for our clients to grow their business. So our job is to coach them, create marketing plans, and as a result, their business goes up and to the right. I like to start with one random fun fact. I was once a professional ballroom dance instructor. 2012. What's up, Mr. Grant Baldwin? What's up, Mr. Davida Viola? What's up, Mr. Insurance Journals Academy of Insurance? Great name. Share in chat as you come in. What is one random fun fact about you that maybe you've never told anybody before? I've told a few people about my ballroom dancing before. I know Mr. Grant Baldwin has experienced that in person. Grant's a good friend, lives locally. Matt, what's up? Good to be here. Thanks. Glad you're here. Share one random fun fact about yourself and the city that you're from. I'm from Franklin, used to be a ballroom dance instructor. With us today, we have the Growth Tools Director of Sales, Mr. Will DeShazo, live from Birmingham, Alabama. Fun fact about Will, he loves to cook. He's an amazing chef. Will, what's one thing you've cooked this week?
Wow. Well, it was Memorial Day weekend, right? So we made burgers and dogs. Why not?
But you make way more than that. You handmade ravioli from scratch 2 weekends ago and filmed a video showing us all of it. Like, dogs and burgers don't qualify for Chef Will. So give us a Chef Will special.
What's one of the most recent things I made? Well, actually, Brian, I did do another pasta with like a brown butter, asparagus, Parmesan, ricotta, lemon, capers, fried capers. That was last week, but it's a new week. It's a new month. Welcome to June, everyone.
Go follow Will on Facebook or Instagram. Which one? You post on both? What do you post?
I post on Instagram primarily.
Okay. What's your handle? Give people the handle.
Eating at will. I like playing on words too.
Eating at will. All right. Grant Baldwin said, I was once held against my will for a full week in a foreign country. This is not an exaggeration. Grant was held against his will recently. Will does have great hair. Tony said, I'm a certified scuba diver. That's really cool. Matt, I used to be a lifeguard. Grant asked if there was a video of me professionally dancing, and there's one video that exists. It's actually on YouTube on like a private account, unlisted, so only I can find it and share it. But I had it actually years ago. We sold an online course about how to grow your email list, and it was one of the main videos, like one of the first videos in the intro was a video of me ballroom dancing. So fun fact about Brian, used to be a ballroom dance instructor. Come next week and you'll learn a new fun random thing that you don't care about me. Also today, we weren't able to get our clients piped in. Usually we kick over to our clients in studio right now, but we had a technical problem with the mic and I couldn't figure it out, and it was last minute. So we had to cut that the last second. So apologies to clients who were lined up to be there and couldn't be there. That's 100% my fault. By the way, several people, actually, I don't know if anybody's asked in chat yet, but this is a common question we get. Will there be a replay available? Will we make the slides and the resources that we mentioned throughout Shop Talk available? The answer is yes. Just make sure you're on the VIP text list. It's free. Just text VIP to 615-903-8108. Maybe Will, you can put that in chat. We'll mention that a few times. You can drop that in chat. Our normal co-host, Mr. Ben Dahl, is actually moving. And any of y'all that have been to previous Shop Talks know how bad his internet was in rural Idaho. He is now located in an actual city in Ohio that has real internet. So I'm excited for him to be back next week. And Will's manning the ship this week while he's gone. So thanks for being here. I wanted to start off with something kind of fun. I told you what we do as a company is make it almost impossible for our clients to fail at growing their business. We put together plans for them to grow their business. We then give them our playbooks to execute in order to grow them. And then we coach them to make it almost impossible to fail at executing those plans. Last week, we had a couple of really cool client wins. Corey Michelle runs a company called Meet Corey Michelle. You can just Google her to find her. She hired us 2 months ago, and she said, I gained clarity on our price increase promotion and feeling like we're moving forward, and it's awesome. One other cool win we had last week. Oh, here it is. From Anonymous. Some clients give us permission to share the wins, some don't, but we record them all. So we can't share their name. But they hired us 3 months ago, said, I received my first yes to my $5,000 offer, which is cool because we did a shop talk a few weeks ago on high ticket offers. And this coaching client actually took that playbook. We assigned it to them and coached them through executing it. Got one sale from their first 2 sales calls and booked another call in a shoulder industry in a fortnight, which I love people, and I'm assuming you're in Britain, that refer to 2-week periods as fortnight. So awesome to see a couple cool wins. Coming up in a few minutes, and the topic of today's Shop Talk is how to re-engage your dead email list in 4 steps. This is something that we recently forgot and started doing again and had some awesome results. And we, in fact, have this codified into a playbook that we assign to our clients, the ones that it makes sense for them to do this. I'm going to walk you through that playbook, show you why people go dead on your email list and just stop responding, what to do about it, and how to re-engage them so they generate a ton of revenue without you having to get new leads. There's all kind of ways to grow your revenue and get more customers. One of my favorites are doing things that don't involve having to get more traffic or more leads or run more ads or do more partnerships or whatever. All those things are fine. But if we can take what you currently have and make it work even better, that's like even better. So before we jump into that, I always like to start with one marketing test that we did last week as a company that you could just kind of rip off and steal and use. And as a result, your business grows. Okay. So this week, the which subject line one test, by the way, we're going to give away a copy of this book, which is, I don't even know where I heard about this book at, but I've had it for 10 years now. It is called Significant Objects. And I don't even know who it's written by. It doesn't have oh no, here it is. Joshua Glenn and Rob Walker. Have you ever heard of this book before, Will?
No, nor have I heard of Rob Walker.
Yeah, never heard of either one of these people. Anyway, it's a fascinating book. So anybody, we'll do which test one here in a second. Anybody that shares Shop Talk, just take this YouTube link, text it to a friend, tweet it out, Facebook it out, and just let us know in chat. Just type shared, and we'll take one person who shared it and send you a copy of this book. So here's what
is that a rabbit?
It is.
Is that a rabbit?
Yeah. Okay, so here's the premise of the book. You'll love this, Will. So they run this test where they spend, I think it's like $147, and they go to a bunch of thrift stores, Goodwill, etc., and just buy literally insignificant objects. These random, like, here's a coffee mug. I don't know if you can see this. It says, nice. You can always find happiness at Friday on work. Just like just a normal coffee mug. Here's like a random little figurine that's like, the average ticket price was like $100. I mean, not $100, like $1 or less. They paid nothing for these objects. And the test was to see, could we pay $150? I think it was a little under $150 for these objects. Write a story that we tell that we're going to list them all on eBay, and write a story that we tell everybody is fictional, but attach a story to the object. And will that increase what we can sell the items for? So I'll give you an example of this real quick. We'll get back to which test one. I know this is a random detour. So let me find one. Okay. Yeah, here's cool. So these little like random porcelain praying hands. I mean, everybody's grandma has this on their foyer table when they go home for Thanksgiving, right? It's just like it's this weird thing she bought at some thrift store. They paid $1.50 for it. It sold for $26. Again, just got it from a thrift store. Here's why. Here's the story. I'll just read a little brief part of it. So when they posted it on eBay, they said, hey, this story is not true. This is a fictional story. This is a story when we bought this object we imagined might have happened with it. The North Americans refused accusal, constructed great cities and gave their names to them and let them crumble and then walked away, disappeared in the big sand, said never to apologize and seldom to slow down. Who judged on souls, some anointed, some not. That's what the relics show, people of the small picture. Shown, totem of North America, Perry Atlas. He found its tissues wrapped up in a rental car. Anyway, this even reads kind of weird, honestly. This isn't one of my favorite
Very
stories.
Weird.
So they hired these writers, like you can read in the first couple pages, it kind of sets up the experiment. They hire like writers from The Daily Show, just all kind of like professional writers. And there's all varying types of styles of stories. And this one's kind of reads odd. They list it, $150. And the goal is to see if the power of story attached to an insignificant object would turn it into a significant object. They wound up collecting $3,500 in sales as a result of listing these thrift store little throwaway items with a story attached to them. So the whole book is mainly, there's like 20 pages at the start and at the end kind of talking about the experiment and the results of it. But every other page is just showing one of these little figurines or one of these coffee mugs or one of these other little things. Like here is a half-eaten apple made out of porcelain. Bought it for $1, sold it for $102. And the only thing they did was write a story. Let me read you this one because this one actually looks like a decent story. According to my wife, I am a willful misunderstander, but regarding the tendency of mine, I understand her feelings too well. The daughter of dour pragmatist who prefaced many a conversation with the phrase, in the wake of Rory. My wife initially mistook me as a source of peculiar brightness. One day, however, I noticed that my wife, after weeks of inexplicable bleeding, got tired of me. Anyway, it goes on to like tell a story and just add significance to the object. So anybody that sells stuff, anybody that writes copy, anybody that teaches, you must get this book. Like it is one of the most fascinating under the radar books I have ever come across before, and is really cool. So if you want a copy of it, share a link to Shop Talk, and we'll maybe go on Amazon real quick and just Google significant objects or search for significant objects and drop a link in chat so anybody that wants to buy it can. It's like a $20 book or something. grab a link to Shop Talk, put it in chat. We're going to do which test one, or we're going to pick one person that shared a link, and we'll send you a copy of Significant Objects so you can read through it. It is one of the coolest books I've ever got. I wish I knew who recommended it so I could give him credit, actually. And it looks like I bought it from a thrift store. There's a thrift store tag on it, which is sounds about right. Okay, so let's do this which test one, and we're going to jump into workshop. So 2 different subject lines, very minor variations here. Option A says AMA : live Zoom Friday at 12 p.m. Central. Option B doesn't just give the acronym, it spells it out. Ask me anything, live Zoom Friday at 12 p.m. Here we go. Here's the test. Now, this isn't a significant difference, but I'm going to show you something that is significant, something that caught my attention that our marketing team, Sean, specifically pointed out. So very minor difference between these two, which is about what I would expect. I wouldn't expect these to have like some gigantic difference between the two. Maybe AMA would be better because it's just shorter and you can actually read it in the preview text. But here's the interesting thing. Take a guess in chat. Which one got more read time? Which one did people open? They basically opened them at about the same rate. But once people opened it, which email got people to read more? And this was actually surprising to me. So which one got people to read more, the A acronym or the fully spelled out thing? So again, I wouldn't expect the difference in these two to be big, meaning if one got them to read more, maybe it's by like a couple percentage points or something. The option A, AMA, the acronym, live Zoom Friday at 12 p.m. got 20% more people to read the email, meaning the read time and the click-through rates on the emails were 20% higher than option B. And honestly, I have no idea why. I don't understand. I don't know. But here's maybe a thing you can do with this test this week, because I always want you to leave, even before we get to workshop time, I want you to leave with one practical thing you can apply to the business, to your business today or tomorrow. Track your read rates of emails, and maybe take an acronym and see if an acronym in your settings, starting the email with that versus the fully written out thing, affects read rate. That's the test. That's the takeaway from this. Honestly, it seems so random to me. I don't really trust it all that much, but a 20% increase is pretty drastic because this is sent to several 100,000 people. So this is like a lot of people getting sampled. And option A, although it didn't get that much higher of an open rate, basically a wash, got a substantially more people to read it and click. And ultimately, reading and clicking is like the whole game of email. So try that out this week. Also, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., along with the recording of this and the resources I mentioned throughout the workshop today, we'll send a copy of our best ads, subject lines, and emails from this month, from May. Actually, I guess it's June now. But from May and prior. So you can just take those and model them. And a lot of times there's like drastic differences in the subject lines and ads and landing pages we send. So you can learn from that and copy it and just use it. So if you're on the VIP list, we're always updating that. Be sure you just bookmark it. You don't need to get on it again. But if you're not on the VIP list, make sure you text VIP to 615-903-8108. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., we'll send you a link out to our swipe file so you can use it. Okay, I want to start the workshop today with a story. I've never told this story before, and it's kind of a personal story. So anyway, let me just say, and I didn't even practice this. I just made a couple notes so I could maybe get a point across. So we moved, my wife and I moved to Nashville in 2009. We got married on 8/8/08 and the year before. And she moved down. At the time, I was selling building materials for a local like a lumber company. And that's the recession time. And we went from the busiest county in the country to one of the slowest counties. Like this thing's just crashed and I'm selling lumber. Nobody's buying lumber. So she moves down, we get married and can't find it. Like she finds a job, but it's all just like nothing she wanted. And not the difference in she was living in Nashville and I was living in Mobile, Alabama. Those markets are drastically different for healthcare, which is the field she was in. So one day she came home and was just kind of annoyed and discouraged. And I was like, just call your old boss back. See if you can get your job. If you can, we'll just move back. So we moved back to Nashville, pick up everything. I know no one here. I started 2 businesses. They both failed miserably. One was an eBay business, which is probably where this book came from that I mentioned earlier. When I was in that, I probably found it. I started a used car lot. Oh my goodness. Anyway, stories about that. Anyway, along that way, pretty early on in moving to Nashville, we got plugged into a church here. And our church family became like our community because, I mean, I was not from here and knew no human that lived in this entire city. So we get plugged into our church family pretty closely. And at the time, there were 3 different couples that were like right around our age. We were mid-20s at the time, 25, 26. By the way, I turned 39 last week. So this is 14, 15 years ago, which is wild. Anyhow, so we meet these 3 couples and get really close to them. And we're just doing life together. We're playing games, we're going out, we went from, at 24, 25, you're like just a couple years into adulthood and maybe just got married and whole network reboots from scratch, don't even really have a stable job at all. By the way, when the car lot failed is when I became a professional ballroom dance instructor. That's a story of its own. Anyhow, so we become really good friends. And of those three couples, we became really good friends with one of the couples. And I mean, for 5-6 years, pretty much everything we did on the weekends, even weeknights, we didn't have kids at all. We're playing games, we're hanging out, just growing up. And a lot of the church stuff we were going through was kind of coming out of like some hyper legalistic background stuff and finding freedom in Jesus and all kind of stuff. So there's just like tons of new shared experiences going on, which is one of the most bonding things you can do with someone to get close to them, is have new shared experience. And fast forward now, it's like 2015, 2016, somewhere around in there. And that started changing. And me and Stacy weren't really sure why. We, where we would spend nearly every weekend together, they kind of developed some other friends, which is totally fine. And we went from hanging out 2 or 3 times a week to hanging out maybe once a week to hanging out maybe once a month. And then a year or two later, they wound up moving away to Indiana. And we had running jokes about how neither one of us would ever move back to our hometown, and they go back and move to their hometown. So that was surprising, but good. I mean, they had good reasons for it, and it was a positive thing. But over time, as you move apart and you don't have that new, church is like that, work is like that. If you don't have like an instigating event in life, a thing where you regularly get together, and there's some kind, like you live in a neighborhood, you live right by them, or you go to a church together, or you are in some club together, have a shared sport or hobby. Like if you don't have that and you start having kids, like it becomes really hard to just keep friendships up. And they had their first kid, and we were really close to them, and they move off, and pretty soon, they had visited several times when they first moved off, but pretty soon the relationship just went to we would text occasionally, but we wouldn't see each other. And then, I don't know, a year or two ago, we found out that they would come to Nashville fairly regularly, like once a month, every other month. But it had been like 2 years since we had seen them. And that was pretty, honestly, hurtful. I don't know, hurtful seems like the wrong word, but that hit us both with tons of sadness. Like 2 of our best friends we've ever had in life, some of the first friends we ever actually made together as a couple. I guess we're friends, but you come here all the time, we don't even talk, and you don't text, or we never get up together. It's just bizarre. You go from some of the closest people you've ever been in relationship with, sharing major things in life together, to I guess we don't even text when we're in the same town together anymore. And that's hard. I'd be lying if both of us didn't have tears over that and sadness over that, and talk to counselors about that. And both of us, I don't know if you are like that, maybe you can share in chat, because this feels like a vulnerable story to tell on YouTube. But both of us have, maybe little t trauma in the past from people we were really close with that kind of just ghosted us completely. And not just kind of close with, people you do life together, you're, for all intents and purposes, best friends with. And they just disappeared. And so I want to tell that story for 2 reasons. I want to give an ending to that. One, you're here for a workshop on how to re-engage your dead email list, or cold email subscribers. And I'm no way equivocating like a random email subscriber to one of your best friends that ghosts you and trauma you would have there. But it's really impactful when you spend a ton of time to grow an audience, you grow an email list, and thousands upon thousands upon thousands of those people that were gung-ho and emailing you and getting results literally just stop paying attention to you altogether. That can screw with your head, just like having friends that ghost you can screw with your head. And I today want to walk you through how to re-engage your cold email list. But I care about that, obviously. That's something we teach our clients, and I want to walk you through, tell you how to do it. But I want you, as we're going through this, to mentally apply this to friendships and people you've been close to that are no longer in your life, and you might struggle with that. Because that's the real stuff. We can talk about email list and marketing all the time, but a lot of the principles we'll go through here will apply to relationships that have gone cold as well. Good end to the story. Just yesterday, one of the 2 friends were in town, and we got up and wound up spending 4.5 hours together, catching up and hearing all the backstory of life that's happened in the last 3-4 years since they moved, and the reason why that happened, which has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with something we did, which is where you go in your head when you have a really good friend who just disappears. You're like, what did I do? Did I offend them? Or they just hate me? And all this stuff that can get you in a bad mental cycle. Same thing with an email list. or an audience of some sort, when you start losing subscribers, you send an email out and 10 people unsubscribe, or 100 people unsubscribe, or 1,000 people unsubscribe from an email. We've had emails where thousands of people unsubscribe. It can happen. Trust me. We've sent the emails before. That can mess with your head. And I want to walk you through how to think about this, but also what to do about this. So let's kick over to slides. Here we go. Nope. Oh, here we are. Okay, here we go. So let's dive in. How to re-engage a dead email list in 4 steps. By the way, somebody give me some comments on YouTube. Has that happened to you before? And how have you processed that when a friend and or audience has diminished in size and left you cold? Like, am I the only one that screws with their head? Carrie, I think the small percentage of people who don't know what AMA stands for. Okay, you're talking about the thing. Matt said, this sounds like my life. Yeah, so let's go through the details. Before we do, I want to give you kind of a high-level overview of what I'm going to share and kind of how our business works. So you just understand where I'm coming from. As a company, the flywheel of our business is we solve our own problems first. So when we have a lot of people go cold on our email list and stop opening them, or we have a dead email list that isn't working anymore, we have to solve that. And when we solve that, we do step number 2, which is we give our solutions to our clients. And today I'm going to give you a solution, even though the vast majority of you aren't clients. I'm going to walk you through how we solve that problem. As a result of that, you're going to apply the strategies. They're going to work for you really well. You're going to trust us more, hire us. And as a result of that, you're going to tell their friends about us who hire us as well. That's the flywheel of our business. We solve our own problems. We give you the solutions. Your business grows. You tell your friends, and they hire us to help coach them and grow their business. Second core thing I want to share with you before we talk about how to re-engage a cold email list or how to think about a relationship that's gone cold for you is this is a fundamental question to your business that you need to visualize and understand on a regular basis how this happens, or you will get lost and the business will stall. How do customers happen? There's 3 main steps. You get their eyeballs, you get their hearts, and then you get their wallets in that order. First, you have to attract leads. Then you have to build trust with those leads. And then you have to have a simple way to turn those leads into actual customers. And today, what I'm going to walk you through with re-engaging an email list is about trust. It's in the trust bucket. You already have the lead. This isn't a monetization strategy directly, although there's a direct monetization things I'll share off the back end of this. But this is, how do you get people who used to trust you and paid attention to you to actually pay attention again so you can talk to them and help them and eventually get them to become a customer? So as you think through how do customers happen, it's very simple. You get eyeballs, you get hearts, and then you get wallets in that order. So I want to know from everybody watching, how many cold email subscribers do you have? How many people on your list aren't actively engaged? 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, put your number, and you can guesstimate a little bit, that's fine. Put your guesstimation in YouTube. I want to know, how many cold email subscribers do you have? Matt and Carrie. Oh, we're getting an echo on YouTube. Will, I'm going to mute you. Maybe that'll solve it. All right, so I just muted the interview room, Will, so when we get you back on, remind me to unmute it, and let me know in our little private chat if the echo went away. We were having some serious sound problems before the show, so I was tinkering with a bunch of knobs. Yeah, okay, here we go. So how many unengaged people do you have? Chris, 15,000. Sub2 Dills, 2,200 to 3,500. Matt, the whole list. Good. So how many people are on the list? Davida, just starting up. Matt, 94. Yeah, good. Oh, Insurance Journals Academy of Insurance, 30,000 out of their 36,000. So a lot of cold email subscribers. That's good. Okay. So let's go through 2 parts of this training. Number 1, what is a cold email subscriber? Let's define that. Let's talk about what produces them. And then part 2, let's talk about how to re-engage them. Chris, 15,000 or 20,000. Conrad, 800. Primetime Promotion, 7,000. So a lot. I mean, we've had hundreds of thousands of cold subscribers just on live right now. Brian Underwood, 30,000 out of 90,000. Joe, 100,000 or so. Okay, so especially for you guys that are over 100,000, this particular strategy very much dial into. This is something that, especially if you don't have any re-engagement strategy set up at all, like this can really move the needle in your business. I'll give a case study from ourselves from back into last year of how we stopped doing what worked, what we know to work, and how the results were when we actually started doing it again. Okay, so first, let's define what a cold subscriber is. For sake of conversation, you can move these numbers wherever you want, but how we define a cold email subscriber is someone who hasn't engaged with an email in the last 90 days or the last 10 or so of your emails. So if you send tons of emails, like if you send an email every day or 3 or 4 emails a week, and you've sent, in the last 90 days, you might have sent 50 emails. Well, definitely if they haven't engaged in 50, they would be cold. But even if they haven't opened an email in a couple weeks from you, if you send it a high cadence, I would classify them as a cold email subscriber. So as you're thinking through how many people you have and who you're going to do this to, those are the 2 numbers you need to build off of. And you can pick one or the other based on your particular list and sending rhythm. If you send once a week or less, 90 days is perfectly fine. If you send a lot more, I would tend to pick a number of emails, and you can start building your engagement campaign that I'll walk you through off that. So pick one or the other, segment off that, move forward with it. There's no like perfect answer to this. What I wouldn't recommend is moving it down lower than 90 or lower than 10. You're gonna screen too many people, and I'll talk through that here. So number one, it's normal to feel rejected and to feel, I don't know, lonely feels like too acute of a word for people that are not paying attention to you. It's normal to feel not good when people unsubscribe and when people stop paying attention to whatever it is you're saying. You're sending emails out to your list of 150,000 people and you get one reply back. Like, you probably should feel a little weird about that, but we should have a plan to fix that. Or if you're pouring your heart into a blog post and you email it out to your 200 people and you get no replies to it, that should probably mess with your head a little bit. In fact, there was a study I came across recently. Our marriage counselor showed us this. It's called the still face experiment. How many of you have ever heard of the still face experiment before? Let me know in chat. I'm going to play a video. This is about 2 minutes long. I want you to think about this from your psychology and the psychology of your subscribers, because it's going to be a core pillar of what we build a re-engagement campaign on as I'm playing it. So this is the still face experiment, about 2 minutes long.
Babies this young are extremely responsive to the emotions and the reactivity and the social interaction that they get from the world around them. This is something that we started studying 30, 40 years ago, when people didn't think that infants could engage in social interaction. In the still face experiment, what the mother did was she sits down and she's playing with her baby, who's about a year of age.
I'm my good girl. Oh.
And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her.
Yeah.
This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this, and then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?" She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, come on, why aren't we doing this? Even in this 2 minutes, when they don't get the normal reaction, they react with negative emotions, they turn away, they feel the stress of it, they actually may lose control of their posture because of the stress that they're experiencing.
Okay. I'm here. And what are you doing? Oh, yes. Oh, what a big girl.
It's a little like the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is that normal stuff that goes on, that we all do with our kids. The bad is when something bad happens, but the infant can overcome it. After all, when you stop the still face, the mother and the baby start to play again. The ugly is when you don't give the child any chance to get back to the good. There's no reparation, and they're stuck in that really ugly situation.
So here's the aha. When you say things and people don't respond, that gives you no feedback loop and makes it really weird. So you can take this in regular life. If somebody's having a conversation with you and pouring their heart out to you, give them like slight acknowledgments of what they're saying, like mm-hmm or aha or ooh, that's interesting to them. Like give them affirmations as they go on, because that's what you want as well. That lets them know that they're being heard. And when you take that away, it causes a psychological problem. Like it causes, Joe said, do you have a link? Will Google still face experiment on YouTube and post a link in chat for us so anybody can go watch it. It's a really cool video. And I think there's an extended version of that as well that kind of goes through that. So it's interesting. So why do people go cold? Why do people go from being a fired up subscriber that was so excited they said, send me more emails. They were so excited they subscribed to your YouTube channel that now you have 100,000 people on your list that haven't opened an email in 90 days, haven't opened the last 10 emails you sent. What causes this? There's 4 primary reasons that people go cold. Reason number 1 is, well, this is the first thing we all think. Our friends stopped talking to us, stopped pursuing us, so now we think we did something wrong. Maybe we're a serial killer. Maybe they think we're just a crazy person. Maybe I said something to offend them. Rarely is that the case. This is like the least likely reason that someone isn't paying attention to you anymore, is that they think there's something wrong with you. There's something that you did. It's very rarely actually that. More likely it's reason number 2. They just got busy with something else. They heard about your design methodology. They heard about the marketing thing that you do. They heard about your parenting thing. They signed up for your list, and then a crisis happened in their life. Somebody got COVID. The kids went back to school, or the kids came home from school and life took over. So they're literally not even barely checking their email anymore, much less opening emails and diving into them. The most common reason for people to go cold is they literally just got busy with something else. It isn't that they wanted to intentionally hurt the baby and walk away. It wasn't that they didn't care about our relationship anymore and moved away and intentionally didn't call us when they were in town. It's like something else was more important in life than me right that second, which, newsflash, that's all of us. The most popular reason that people stop paying attention is something else came up in life. So what that means is there's things you don't do. Like, just because a friend didn't respond to 2 texts from me. Actually, this is my dad the other day. I sent him 2 texts, 2 like pretty heartfelt texts, and he literally didn't respond to them for like 4 days. I didn't like delete my dad out of my phone and like say, never talking to you again. You didn't respond to 2 texts from me. Like, that would be super weird to do. Reason number 3, they solved the problem they originally came to you for. Like, I went to the tire store, I got tires, I signed the receipt, they asked me if I wanted to be on their email list, so they put it on the list. Now they send me tire deals all the time. I literally just don't need tires right now. So it isn't that I hate Discount Tire. I actually love Discount Tire. I just don't really have the problem right now for you to solve. Now, if they got into something else, if they got into like regular oil changes, well, that's a way more regular of a problem, so I'm going to probably come back to them sooner. The last thing I would want to do is somebody came to me, learned about parenting, the acute problem they have got solved by maybe somebody else or maybe by me, and then I'm going to delete them off my list and never talk to them again because the problem got solved and they're not actively engaging with emails right this second. Like, that would be crazy. Again, that you would not do that in real life at all. Or number 4, their interest cycled to something else. I don't know how many people, I'm curious in chat, how many people have you started following? I'm sure many of you have done this with me, I would guess. There's been people I follow on YouTube and have podcasts and I'm like super into for a period of time. I recommend them to everybody. And then, I don't know, for a year, for a month, maybe for longer, I'm just not super interested in that topic right now. Like, I went from being obsessed with eBay and selling stuff on eBay to like, I don't know, right this second, I'm not super interested in that. But I'm on 3 different eBay lists and I kind of put them in filters. I don't open every email. I very rarely open emails actually, but I don't want them to unsubscribe me. Like, I want to know they exist. So when I get back into eBay or somebody asks me about it, I can send it to them. So it's perfectly normal for people to go cold. It's very rarely because you did something wrong. It's more likely they get busy with something else. They solved the problem, the acute problem right that second, or their interest just cycled to something else. This happens to me a lot with influencers. Like when I found Alex Hormozy last year, I was super into him, bought the book, recommended everybody, watched his YouTube videos. I haven't watched a YouTube video in 8 months. That's fine. I don't like hate Alex. I haven't unsubscribed to his YouTube channel. I just don't want to listen to him right now. Totally fine. Like, it's normal behavior to cycle in and out of interest. Okay. 2 common mistakes. The reason I wanted to share that first, because I'm going to get to what you do, but I want to lay this foundation first. So we'll get to the system here in a second. 2 common mistakes people make with cold email subscribers. Mistake number 1 is ignoring the cold email subscribers. La 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 la, nothing's happening. I'm just going to act like nothing's happening and treat them like everybody else. You treat them like an active subscriber. You send them the newsletter at the same cadence. You send them promotions just like you do everybody else. You carry on like they're paying attention to you when they're not. You get the blowhorn at the front door talking to them, and they just don't really care right now. like that isn't normal either. Meaning, if I send 20 texts to my dad over the course of a month and he responds to none of them at all, like, I probably shouldn't keep doing that. Like, that something's not right there. I need to go figure out what's going on, why he isn't responding. Then I can maybe I need to call him instead. Maybe I need to slow my cadence down to 1 a month because he doesn't check his text all that often. I don't know. A couple problems happen as a result of you treating your inactive subscribers or your cold subscribers like your active ones. The search for deliverability. Like, there's a real mechanical problem. If you have, Joe, a list of 100,000 subscribers and you're emailing all of them actively just like the rest of your people, that means your open rates and click rates are really, really low, like in the low single digits. You're getting 4% open rates and 0.2% click-through rates. Now, in the grand scheme of things, you're still having a good bit of people click, but the problem is a lot of email services like Gmail and Hotmail and Yahoo and Outlook and everything will actually screen your emails and either deliver them in the inbox or in the promotions tab based on how many people that got that email actually engaged with them. So the deliverability, meaning the number of emails you actually send that actually wind up in people's inbox, is directly affected by your open and click rates. So if you have a ton of people who are ignoring you, the people that are paying attention literally won't get your email. It'll show up in the promotions tab or not show up at all or go to spam as a result. Second problem with treating your inactives just like your actives is you have to pay for them. Most ESPs, most email service providers like ConvertKit, Infusionsoft, Drip, etc., charge you by the number of subscribers that you're sending emails to, either by the email send or by the contact. So if you have 100,000 of your 200,000 people are inactive, you're literally just paying thousands of dollars a month for people who are ignoring you. So like, that's not optimal. Problem number 3 is you annoy the crap out of them. And they actually start to think you are a serial killer. Not actually a serial killer, but they actually get annoyed by you. They didn't have a problem with you. They just weren't interested. But now you're sending them so many emails and they're obviously not paying attention that you got to do something different. And we actually had somebody in chat a while ago talk about mistake number 2. They said, I forget who it was. Let's scroll back up. Yeah, he said, we auto unsubscribe all people who haven't engaged in the last 60 days. Is that a bad idea? You're in the right direction, but that's too aggressive of a technique, in my opinion, based on the experimentation that I've done. So mistake number 2. Mistake number 1 is ignoring your cold subscribers, acting like they're not cold. Mistake number 2 is overreacting to the cold subscribers, meaning the most aggressive version of this that I've seen is actually just deleting the contacts out of your Aweber or MailChimp or ConvertKit account. It's like, my dad didn't respond to me in my last 3 text messages, so Dad, I'm literally never talking to you again. You're going to have to come find my address and come to my house to talk to me. Like, again, only do online what you would do in real life, and sometimes that can be hard to like map, but deleting people because they haven't opened a handful of your emails is a bad idea. Now, you don't need to ignore them, obviously, but you don't need to delete them. A couple problems with deleting them: their attention will cycle back. Like, I will eventually get interested in my tires again, or eBay again, or leadership again. Just because I haven't opened your last 10 leadership emails doesn't mean I never care about learning about leadership again. It just means I'm not interested in you right this second, or I had something else come up, or I solved my immediate problem. Problem number 2 is the problem will resurface. I might have figured out how to write a good description for eBay. Oh, by the way, we didn't give the winner, Will. Go back and chat, and when I get to a stopping point, we'll give away the book. I forgot to do that when we finished with test 1. So one person that said they shared a link. By the way, if you haven't shared the link yet, share the link, and you'll be in the pool because I forgot to give it away. Where was that? Oh, deleting them. So their attention will cycle back. The problem will resurface, meaning I might have solved the acute leadership problem that I had when I found you and bought your product or signed up for your list. I don't have that leadership problem anymore, so it's down my list. But later on, I'm going to have another leadership problem. I'm going to run into another scenario I don't know about. And if you're around, I'm going to talk to you and hire you and buy your product from me. Problem number 3, life will calm back down for them. If things just got busy, somebody got COVID, the kids came home, the car had a flat, I had to do a yard project, so I just kind of ignored my computer and email newsletters for a little while. Totally fine. The life will calm back again. And if you delete them from your list or totally bulk unsubscribe them from your list, I don't know how many times I've been on a newsletter. 6 months later, I went to find them and literally couldn't remember their name, but they had unsubscribed me and I couldn't find the email. And I literally can't find the product that I wanted to buy because they auto unsubscribed me or deleted me. And my interest was back, but I couldn't find them at all. So we don't want to ignore them. We don't want to delete them. So what do we do? So I'm going to show you. First, I'm going to show you a case study. This is from us. Last October, we found a list of 50,000 cold subscribers, meaning 50,000 people who had stopped engaging our newsletter that we had segmented and just put on a list and done nothing with them at all. We hadn't sent them an email in over a year. We used the system I'm going to walk you through, warmed them back up, which is very simple to do, ran a promotion just to that group of people, and generated $80,000 in the first 30 days. These were dead email subscribers. They hadn't opened an email in 90 days. They hadn't opened the last 10 emails. And this is like a year ago. So we just segmented them and said, yeah, let's just not send to them. Let's get our open rates up. Let's pay attention to the people that are paying attention to us. Right? We went back to them, warmed them up, sent them a promotion, $80,000 in sales in 30 days. This stuff matters. You do not want to delete them. You do not want to ignore them. Neither one of those things. What you want to do is use at least this re-engagement system. And I'm sure some of you have even more sophisticated things. This is the thing that I found to be simple and effective. Here's what the system looks like. All right, I'm going to pause. Speed, what's up? I haven't seen you in a while. You're re-engaged. I like it, man. Good to see you in chat. Book winner, Insurance Journal Academy of Insurance. I love how you have insurance in it twice. So Insurance Journals Academy of Insurance. Tell us your name in chat so we don't have to call you that name. I'm going to call you IJ. So IJ, put your real name in chat, send me an email, brian@growthtools.com with your address in it, and we'll get you a copy of this sent out in the next 24 hours so you have it. And since I forgot to give it out at the beginning, we'll pick one other person. So let's pick one other person from chat. And if you haven't entered yet, put shared in chat and actually go share the link with one friend at least or post it on social, and we'll give one more copy of the book away. This is a really cool book. One of my favorite. I've never even heard it in a marketing list of books to buy before because it's not technically a marketing book, but it's an amazing book. Anyway, you can rewind to the beginning. I'm not going to plug the whole thing again. I wish I would have wrote it because it's such a cool concept. All right, so we'll just put in our little private chat when you find somebody, and I will share it. Okay, so let's go through how to actually re-engage people. This is really simple, so this is not going to take long. That's why I spent a little time on foundation, so you started knowing how to think about this. By the way, second book winner, Carrie Richardson. Email me, brian@growthtools.com. Include your address. We'll send you a copy out. Sweet. All right. Here's the system. You send 5 emails to your people that your email software has identified as cold. They haven't opened an email in 90 days. Set up an automation in your email service to send these 5 emails. And then if they don't re-engage in these 5 emails, which I'll walk you through in a second, then you're going to put them on your monthly ping list, which means we're not going to delete them. And we're not going to not send anything to them at all. We're going to decrease the volume of emails we send down from once a week or once a day or whatever cadence is to no more than once a month. So that we're around, but we're not nagging and we're not bugging and we're not in their face with the blowhorn at the front door. So we're going to send 5 emails. Let's go over the 5 emails first. First, we're going to send them to tell them, remind them why they joined the list in the first place. By the way, we're going to send a copy. I have the swipe file for all 5 of these emails that we send. I'm going to send that out tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I'm going to show you an example of 2. We're not going to just sit here and read emails. That'd be boring. But I'll send you a copy of this entire sequence tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Just make sure you're on the VIP list. Will will drop the text VIP to our phone number. Will will drop it back in YouTube chat so you have it if you're not on it. If you're already on it, you don't need to text it again. Everybody that's on the VIP list will send out the swipe file for all of these. But let me walk you through the sequence of how it works. So email number 1, the goal is to remind them why they joined in the first place by sharing some of your best content. So the email reads something like, hey, this is Brian. Notice you haven't opened the last few emails. Let me just remind you why you subscribed, and here's some of our best content. Go check it out. The goal of that is get them to click on a link. If they click on a link, they're back to active. We're stop the rest of the campaign, and we put them back on the main list and treat them like normal. The whole goal of this campaign is to generate a click. Get me 1 engagement. If they engage, we're back game on. We're now engaged. So the whole point of this campaign, get them to click a link. And what we found, we can get 20 to 30% of our cold subscribers to re-engage just with this. And the rest will re-engage with the move and ping approach at the end. So the automated sequence is going to bring back to life. For Joe, for instance, Joe Bunting, who was on here, said 100,000 cold subscribers. You can bring back to life between 10 and 30,000 people on that list by sending these 5 emails to them. And then the rest, you'll find, will engage somewhere in the 1 to 5% range every month. The people that got in the move and ping bucket, we'll walk you through that strategy in a second, will wind up re-engaging regularly. And that can be a substantial needle mover for revenue. So let me walk through the 5 emails. First, we tell them why they joined, give them some links, get them to click. Second, we ask them to update their contact information. We assume maybe we have the wrong email. Maybe this is the best email anymore. Maybe moved around. If you would click here to update your email information. Again, the goal is to get them to click. Email number 3, we ask them to reply. We give them an email to reply, and I'll show you an example of this one. Email number 4, we tell them this is the last chance we're about to unsubscribe you. And email number 5, we tell them we have actually unsubscribed them, and if they ever want back, just hit reply to this email, we'll add them back. Now, we unsubscribe them from the regular cadence, but we're going to move them to a monthly cadence. So we're just going to take one of the emails we write every month in the move and ping bucket, and everybody that makes it through these 5 emails without engaging, we're going to move over there, and we're going to send them 1 email a month. Just slow the drip down, because we know they're not super interested right now, but we know they will cycle back. We know life will calm down. We know this problem will resurface again. So we don't want to delete them out of our world and never talk to them again. That's a bad idea. But we do want to slow down the cadence of the rhythm, the cadence of the emails that we send. That's the move and ping bucket. So let me show you an example of email number. This is email number 3. So I don't know if you can see my cursor, but this one right here, reply. This is the reply email. This is a short one, so I took a screenshot and put it in here. So subject line is let's talk. The email reads, there's tons of challenges related to, and insert your problem you solve, growing your email list and launching profitable products for us. If anything has you stuck right now, I'd love to help. Send me a quick reply about your number 1 challenge right now, and I'll get back with you ASAP with my best advice. I'll read and respond to every email. Thanks, insert name, Brian. It's a great email. The goal is to get them to reply. If they reply, they become active. They're back on the list again. All right, so that's email number 3. Let's go to email number 5 here. I'll read through it. This is the email that gets the most clicks, by the way. You literally, the subject line is you have been unsubscribed or you are now unsubscribed. So email with urgency, scarcity, they want back. This is the one you'll find of the 5 that moves the needle the most if you sent the first 4 to kind of prime them for this. So this is the email. You are now unsubscribed. Just wanted to let you know we've removed your address from our list. See you around. It's been awesome to send you messages, and if you ever wish to reconnect with Growth Tools, you can sign up anytime. Just click here to get back on the list. Was this a mistake? Sometimes if you forward an email to a friend and they click the unsubscribe link, you'll actually be the one that gets unsubscribed. If this was a mistake, you can resubscribe by clicking here. P.S. If I can ever help you with anything, just hit reply and let me know. So good. The goal is to get them to reply, click a link. If they do either one of those things, back on the list again, back on the main list. Okay, so those are 2 of the 5 emails. We send them a series of 5 emails. Step number 1, there's a trigger point. The trigger point is they went 90 days without clicking an email. If they do that, we initiate these 5 emails to remind them why they joined, ask them to update their contact information, ask them to reply with the number 1 challenge, tell them this is the last chance to stay on the list, and actually tell them they've been unsubscribed from that list. Between 10 and 30%, 20 and 30%, and I give ranges because the list type and the age of it matters to this, will re-engage and become active again if you send these 5 emails. Once you have done that and they haven't re-engaged, the remaining 60 to 80% of people, we actually want to move to a monthly ping list. So we're going to create a second list or a subset with tag, depending on what the ESP you use is, where we can just send those people our best email that got clicked. So of the 4 or 5 emails we sent in that month, we're going to take the one that got the best engagement and send it to those people. And if they click or engage with it in any kind of way, we're going to put them back on the active list. We're going to keep the slow dripping. All right, let me pause there, kick over to Will. Will, how's that sounding to you? Anything popping up in chat we need to stop and address before we keep going? Next, we're going to give 5 different pro tips, 5 different things you can do to really juice this even more. But how's this hitting you, Will? Oh, hold on, I got to unmute you. There we go. Is that working? Are you there? I don't have your sound.
Stand by.
Oh,
there you go. We're here. So, first off, it's not surprising that final email, I love the way that's crafted. If this was a mistake, here's how it could be a mistake.
Yeah.
Like, we both know it's probably unlikely that was a mistake, but like, that's a really cool segue there. And I mean, I would easily click that because immediately you're like, oh yeah, maybe that was from something, you know? Yeah. Speed did ask a question though, Brian. He said, do you move them back to the active list if they engage with any of the monthly emails? And I think you answered that. I just want to clarify. You'll hit them back with that monthly ping list. Yeah,
they engage with a sequence and or the monthly ping. As soon as they click any email, they're back to active again.
Yeah. Yep. And Raymond just asked about the term you used in subset the tag. What did you mean that? Can you explain that?
Yeah, it depends on what email service you use. Like MailChimp only uses, at least last time I used them, only has list concepts. So you're going to have actually move them to another list. But if you use something that has a tag concept in it, like ConvertKit or Drip or Infusionsoft, they don't have different lists. So there's just one big contact database. So when you go to send an email, you're going to send it to a tag or a segment. They use different words, but you just don't want them to be sent. You don't want to send them to your regular newsletter. You want to segment them to the side and only send them the monthly best hit newsletter from that month.
And that goes back, I think, Brian Underwood, to your point here. Brian was like, hey, are you going 0 to 60 too fast? Are you going to throw them back into a full cadence if they respond, or just hit them with like a soft monthly nudge?
If they respond, they go back to whatever their regular newsletter cadence is. It's like for us, we send between 2 and 5 emails a week. So if somebody goes cold, we pause them. We send them those 5 people. If they don't engage, we put them once a month. As soon as they engage in, they get back to the regular newsletter and they get 2 to 5. And if they stop engaging, the same thing. It just cycles back around. Yeah. So it's really simple. Yep. Oh, MailChimp has tags now. Good. You haven't used them in years.
They have gotten way better. So that's good to share that, Carrie.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's finish up with some pro tips, then we'll do more Q&A. So a couple pro tips. Number 1, this is really good. For your re-engagement sequence, change your from address. So if you typically send, I don't remember, I think we send from newsletter@growthtools.com. For your re-engagement sequence, change it to brian@growthtools.com. Now, I wouldn't use that because I'm a personal email, but you get the point. Change it to news@growthtools.com. Change it to reengage@growthtools.com. Most any email service provider actually lets you go in and change the from address. That's what you're looking for. The setting in your ESP is from address. Change it just for that warm-up sequence. What you'll find is a lot of times people have auto segmentation set up, and you'll wind up they're not engaging because 2 years ago they put you in an auto filter where they couldn't even see you. But now they're interested and they can't find you because I didn't remember they set up the auto filter. So this will just bust through that and show back up in their inbox. So change the from address. Pro tip number 2, change the from name. If it's typically Brian, now if you look at your Gmail account, there's like a from name. It says Brian Harris or Brian right there. And there's a from address, and the actual address the email comes from when it hits their inbox. You want to change both of those things for your warm-up sequence if you want to go to add some little advanced tips there. Change your from name and from email. You're trying to give a pattern interrupt for their email client and for them to see. So you might change it to Bry or Brian Harris if I only go by Brian. And just change it up so it's something different from them. You can do some other stuff. We won't go there. But change your from address, your from name. Here's a pro tip. When you dump them into your monthly ping list, I love doing this. It's a little more technically complicated, but doable. Dump your cold subscribers into another ESP altogether. If you typically send your emails from MailChimp, when they go cold, dump them into ConvertKit and send your monthly pings from a different ESP. I found the deliverability for whatever reason. I don't know all the mechanics. I'm not like a hardcore email DKIM expert. I found it works well for your cold people to be in a different ESP and your warm people to be in your main ESP. So whenever they go cold, put that re-engagement sequence if you really want to jazz it up. Now, if you're just getting started and you got like 20 people a month to go cold, don't do this. But if you're Joel or Joe that has 100,000 cold people and you probably get thousands of cold people that hit the cold list monthly, it's worth the time to do this, which brings us into pro tip number 4. Use Zapier. Zapier is like a hub that connects a ton of MarTech tools. Use Zapier. It works with almost any modern ESP, ConvertKit, MailChimp, Drip, etc., to automate all of this. You can use the automations built into your ESP plus Zapier to move people around to different ESPs, to move them around to different lists, to do all of this. Between the automations in your ESP and Zapier, you can do everything we've talked about today, and you can set it up in an afternoon. It's really not complicated. Just make sure you get the emails that we send out tomorrow morning, and you can just copy those, make small modifications to them, and be good to go. Why is that? Change the ESP. Raymond, I don't know all the behind the scenes of why that works well. I have found every time we've moved ESP, our open rates and click rates increase every time. I don't know all the details of why that happens. I just seen it like with the 6 different moves we made over the last 10 years. Every time the send rate, the opens and clicks have gone up. So doing it with your cold people, it just jars something loose. I don't know. That's layman's term for talking about it, but it is something. So that'd be my recommendation. What's going on with the clients? What's going on in the client's head when you do this? I don't understand that question. Jenny said, I've gotten that email from you. I can't keep up with my emails. Exactly. Yeah. So Jenny is obviously on Shop Talk engaged, but became disengaged and cold on the email list. But we didn't give up on her. We didn't delete her. We just had a basic sequence in place to keep her around. And now she's on top of Shop Talk hanging out with us. So use that as an example of just the customer journey. People talk about customer journeys with buying products. Think about the customer journey of a subscriber. What's the subscriber journey? They just cycle in and out of interest due to life circumstance, due to problem status, all that stuff. So make sure you're on the VIP list. Text VIP to 615-903-8108. I'll send you a copy of all these emails. You don't have to write them from scratch. Please don't write them from scratch unless you just feel like writing a bunch. Just copy these, modify them for your industry and your problem, and start using them. Would you please put the VIP text number in chat to get the swipe file? Yeah, Will, if you would, every time I say that, just dump it in chat so people have it fresh again. But text VIP to 615-903-8108. Oh, by the way, I would recommend take your cell phone out and take a picture of this. This is the money slide from this training. This is what your email sequence needs to look like. Tell them why they join, update their information, have them reply, tell them a last chance, tell them you just unsubscribe, and then move them down to your monthly ping. Ideally, move them to another ESP to do your monthly pings from. Change your from address, change your from name, jump your cold subscribers into another ESP for your monthly pings, and use Zapier to connect it all together so it's super simple. Now, I told you in the beginning that what we do as a company is we sit down with people and we evaluate, sit down for the first time for most people and understand what they do, understand what their goals are, what their aspirations are, why they started this business. And a lot of people are just lost either at the beginning stage or they've gotten into the business a couple years down the road and it's just all cluttered and muddy. And our job is to provide clarity and confidence, get you out of cluttered and confused and get you to clarity and confidence. So the first thing we do, just like I sat down, actually doing a session tomorrow. We had a client coming in town tomorrow and we're doing a full day together. This is last month. Kirk and Cody and Kim came to town and we sat down and over the course of a day, mapped out their entire business, brought it all the way down to the studs, the bones of it, understood why they got into what they did and put together a marketing system and a marketing plan that over the last 30 days, I gave you an update last week. Over the last 30 days, Cody texted me this morning or sent it over in Voxer. He said, we had one more deposit, ended up the night with $141,527. This is their first 30 days of executing the plan that we put together for them that generated $141,000 in sales. From having someone else come from the outside, sit down in front of them, understand everything they did, somebody that's been there and been in the shoes that they want to walk in, been on the path they want to walk in, and put together a plan for them and coach them through the execution of that. That's what we do as a company at Growth Tools. It's what we love. It's what me and Will do all day, every day, is sit down with people just like Speed, just like Insurance Sales Guy, just like Leslie, understand where you're at, put together a plan that gives you clarity and confidence to go execute, and does what Cody did. $141,000 in sales in the first 30 days, which is an abnormal result. They averaged in the $60,000 range a month over the previous 12 months. But this is, I guess, 2.5 times what they normally do in a month in their very first 30 days of executing the plan we put together. And that's what we love seeing. So when a client comes in, the very first thing I do is we sit down as a coaching team and evaluate their business. We run it through ATM, eyes, hearts, and money. What's working? Do we have enough lead gen going on? Do we have enough trust going on? Do we have monetization going on? We make a scorecard, just like you went to the oil change place and they do an evaluation of the car. The first thing we do is evaluate your business, check the health of it. Then we construct your marketing system that we're going to spend the next 12 months building. We're going to take it step by step, starting exactly where you need to start. Make your lead gen work, make your content and your trust building work, and make sure all that equals hitting your new client and revenue goals. And we mapped all that out, and this is your main deliverable from our setup period working with clients, a one-page marketing plan. Exactly what your revenue goals are, the exact events you're going to do in that time period, and the handful of strategies you're going to focus on in the first 90 days to execute to do that. You have confidence and clarity on one piece of paper. And like that is what I personally love doing every day. And that's what everyone at this company does every day at Growth Tools. We teach you things on Shop Talk, but we're in the weeds working with the clients. We give you clarity and confidence via a plan and via coaching to make it almost impossible to fail at growing your business. In fact, after our day together, this is what Kirk had to say.
Even though our numbers are where they're at, you never balked at it, you never mocked us, you never even made it seem like it wasn't that big of a deal, because we know you work with big people, like really gigantic companies, but you treated us like we are the most important company in this whole entire world. And that really made an impression upon me. And then the actual plan, you nailed it down to the very details and the numbers. And to be able to see the numbers and to see what we need to do, I watched both my wife and my son, as we're all there talking to you, I watched as the light came on inside of us, and it's like, we can do this. And you showed us down to the minute detail what we need to do. That was powerful, because we literally are walking away with knowing what to do. And so that was super cool. And I really appreciate that, because I trust you. I just have to tell you, with everything you did, I built a lot of trust in you, in the fact that you know what you're talking about, you care about what we're doing. And that means a lot to me, because I cannot stand coaches who just go off in the weeds and I walk away and I'm like, I don't know what to do. But with you, it was clear, it was precise, and it's doable. And that was the coolest day ever to spend the day with you. It was awesome.
So if you would like for us to get on a call, not coach you, we don't know if we want to coach you yet. We don't know if you want us to coach you yet. If you want to get on a call and for us to start the process of looking at your business, and on the call, find one unique thing you can do to double your revenue in 2022 before the end of the year. You got 7 months left. Double your revenue by the end of 2022. I would love to sit down with you and do that. Just text coach to 615-903-8108. Luke and Will are sitting there on that text line. I'll text back and forth with you, talk with you a little bit, and then set up a time to talk if it feels like, hey, this would be a good use of your time and we can actually help you. And if it sounds like a good fit, we'll invite you into coaching with us and do what we did for Kirk and Cody and Kim. Create a plan for you that gives you confidence. Not only that, we'll sit down and make your offer for you. Or if you have an offer already, we'll brief back through it and make it an irresistible offer. We'll create a best fit customer avatar for you so you know exactly who you're marketing to. And then paint a clear and crisp vision of a year from now. What does your company look like? What's your vision for the company? Before you leave, before you even start coaching, your offer's clear and irresistible. Your vision is so vivid you can feel it and sink your teeth into it, and you know exactly who you're selling to. And not only that, you have the exact plan and strategy you need to give you confidence and clarity to actually do that. And the goal of all that is to do what Cody did, 141K in his first 30 days, just from the valuation, making a system that he's going to build, putting that all into a plan, and making sure the offer's irresistible, the best fit client is super clear, and the vision is so clear you can't avoid hitting it. So if all that sounds interesting to you, we do this for people. We're taking a handful of new clients right now. Just text coach to 615-903-8108 and we'll chat. See if it makes sense to work together. We had a couple clients send in wins. I shared a couple of these at the beginning, but a couple more I wanted to share. Jeremy Inns hired us 6 months ago. He said, finally made it through my launch time crunch and was able to take my first weekend off in more than 2 months. So Jeremy is in hustle mode. I love the wins where their life is affected in a positive way. He did the work, he hustled, he worked his face off, and then he got to rest. Another one from Anonymous, don't have permission to share them. He said, oh my gosh, I just got my first Founders Club member and she's such a good fit. Founders Club is something we do typically. It's a playbook we give clients who come in that don't have a list, don't have an offer, don't even have a product yet. Typically, we help them construct a high-ticket offer and use something called our Founders Club method to get their first $10,000 generated in around 3 to 4 months, depending on their operation speed and whatnot. So a couple cool wins there. By the way, I want to invite you to next week's Shop Talk. The topic is how to hire a killer marketer to grow your business for you. Like, how do you do hiring? It's one thing for you to learn how to grow your business, but at some point along the way, either you don't want to do that anymore or you got to hire somebody to take the reins. How do you do that? Like, how do you hire a unicorn to come in and to run your marketing and sales better than you know how to do? I'm going to share. I've gone through 3 different director of marketings. I know all the things not to do, and I know a handful of things to do right. So I'm going to walk you through a hiring methodology and how that specifically applies to hiring marketing and salespeople. Would love for you to join next week. Make sure you're on the VIP list, 615-903-8108, and we'll make sure we send you a reminder like 15 minutes before so you don't miss it, and send you the replay and resources afterwards. So if you haven't yet, be sure to text coach to 615-903-8108 if you're interested in us sitting down and making a plan for you to give you confidence and clarity. We'd love to do that. By the way, I haven't done this in a few weeks now, but I have a question for y'all. I'm going to scroll back in chat after I ask this question and answer some things you had on re-engagement. I need your advice. I need your help, really. We want to hire someone to own Shop Talk, this show, the tech, the content, coordinating me with teaching, optimizations of it, video production, eventually hiring a team underneath them. We have some aggressive goals over the next year for growing this show. And the one limiter on it is we have no one that owns it right now. I own it right now. And that's his biggest problem. 10 minutes before some mic stops working. Now we got to cut interview and we got to cut our clients out of it. That's not good. We need someone to own this. I'm willing to pay a $50,000 finder's fee for the person who recommends the person who takes this role. And there's some mechanics on how that $50,000 gets paid out. But we'll pay a $50,000 finder's fee if you send us the person we hire to produce Shop Talk. So somebody that's knows live YouTube, somebody that's like got some video ability, someone who's got some project management and leadership ability. I haven't written the job scorecard out, although I did write a vision for Shop Talk the other day. But I want to, if you know anyone, email me, brian@growthtools.com, and make an introduction, give me their name, throw it out. I'll pay you $50,000 if you send the right person to us. So yeah, anybody know anybody off the top of their head? Anybody in chat right now, that person? You'll get the money and be the person and get paid. It'll be fun. Yeah, so maybe I'll just put that under the ether if you know a guy. Good. Davita knows a person, so email me, Davita. Would love to know. Requisites. Yeah, I don't have a full side hustle hack secret said. What are the requisites? I don't have a full job scorecard right now, but somebody that can own this show. They know production, they know project management, they know leadership. They can eventually hire a team of 2 or 3 people over the next year to help run the show. Like one of the goals we have is by May 31st of 2023 to average 1,000 concurrent live viewers. Right now we're averaging in the, I think right about 100 range. We've gotten up to 200 before. We hit about 1,000 views after a week on a video typically. We want to get that to 10,000 and we want the concurrent live to be 1,000. And out of that, we want to try to get 5 new clients a week out of Shop Talk. So their job is to hit that number and to be the coordinator and owner of this show, because we want this show to be the core piece of content that is part of Growth Tools. It's like the thing, and all emails and everything else circles around this, but this is the content thing we do. So we need someone to own it. So if you know somebody, let me know. And I'll write a job scorecard. We'll actually talk about some of that next week with next week's topic, which is how to hire a killer marketer to grow your business. We'll use some of that framework for mapping out this Shop Talk person, which is kind of a marketer / video person. It's a little less marketing, but more video show production, concepting, strategy, all that stuff. I know a media company that's hungry. Yeah, definitely recommend them. Send them over to me. Email one more time, Brian, BRYAN @growthtools.com. Will maybe can put that in chat for us so y'all have that listed out. Let's see. Yeah, thank you, Raymond. Appreciate that. Brian @growthtools.com. Scrolling back through for Q&A. Okay, Will, let me kick over to you. What questions, or are there any questions we didn't answer as it relates to re-engaging? Maybe we'll answer 3 questions and then cut it off. I want to try to keep these at about an hour long. So we're just over an hour. So maybe let's answer a few questions and catch people next week. You're muted.
There was a bunch of people, sorry about that, saying how much they value they saw from it.
How much
Changing
they
the
value what?
name, value they saw from today.
Oh,
Tony
good.
French had a point, like this is, he mentioned changing the name. So he said, when I, or she, Tony, could go both ways. When I change the name from name, I use something totally different, as customers can set up filters based on your name as well as the emails.
Yep.
So they actually use a totally different name. And you could use company name, I'm assuming,
email.
Brian.
Change both of them for your
Right.
engagement sequence. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. The more you can change those two features, the higher the inbox rate. So that's actually a really good point.
Speed has an interesting comment here. He said, one thing I did once was have a quiz where people choose the right cadence from them, low, medium, maximum, and it helps a ton with unsubscribe rates. Yeah, that'd be a good thing to put on your subscribe form, depending on the nature of the subscribe form. Some of them wouldn't make sense to do that, but at the least you could have that in a welcome sequence where they pick. It doesn't mean, I mean, the thing is, whatever they pick will change, and if it changes, they're going to like go cold. So you still got to have an engagement sequence. This would be a layered on top of that. Let's see. Courageously Alive said, how can you say you're unsubscribed if you're sending monthly emails? Yeah, you would say, I mean, you could choose your language here depending on what you technically do, but you could say I'm unsubscribing you from our newsletter, our regular newsletter, and you're putting them on the monthly drip. You could say, hey, I'm going to stop sending you emails regularly, and then you go to irregularly, which is once a month. So you can choose your language, whatever you're comfortable with there. But the concept is we're unsubscribing you from this list, and we're putting you on another one. We don't have to say that part until we actually do it, but you get the point. Let's see. Raymond said, what would the process look like for easiest way to subset the tag? Yeah, this gets into like the mechanics of your particular email service, and I don't know what email service you use. But segmenting people, you can just Google your ESP ConvertKit segments or MailChimp segments, and all of them will have extensive help files on how to do that. You could even ask them. A lot of them now have built-in cold subscriber handling where they do some of the identification like automated through the software for you. The main thing is you just want to be clear on what you need to do, which is the system we outlined, and make sure ESP facilitates that. And if not, you have to build the thing to do it. But it's pretty simple overall. Let's see. One more. Brian said, would you suggest bringing them back into a full cadence if they respond to these or respond to a monthly ping? Oh yeah, we already answered that, but yes is the answer. Let's see. Anything else? Yeah, Raymond said, Speed, do you recommend asking people how many emails they would like to get a week? Yeah, you see this, like Tim Ferriss does this on his newsletter. He sends like a weekly digest or real time. James Clear, I think James is actually down to just once a week now, so there's no setting. It's just off or on. I don't tend to recommend getting that sophisticated unless you have a list of over 100,000 people. It's just like kind of overkill for what you're doing. But you know, do it seems right to you. But generally, you won't see a huge ROI on that time. All right, one last. Raymond, can you give an amount of cadence of emails that they would like a week and have them choose? Yeah, we could do that. I wouldn't do this for cold subscriber re-engagement. I would do what I just described today. But if you want to play around with different cadences of sending emails and you have a list of over 100,000, sure, spend the day figuring out what you want, what feels right for your people based on your audience, and then go do that. But kind of outside the context of this and not really addressing the problem we're talking about today. All right, so we gave away 2 copies of this book, Significant Objects. Highly recommend going and getting it. Definitely recommend getting our VIP list, 615-903-8108. Next week, we're going to talk about I'm going to teach you how to hire your first marketer. What if tomorrow you woke up and you had a world-class director of marketing thinking about sleeping at night, concepting on, doing all of your marketing for you? How much would that change your life and your business? For most of us, it would be a substantial level up. I'm going to show you how to do it next week. Even if you're on a budget, even if you don't have a ton of money, maybe you don't have $50,000 a year to pay them or $100,000 a year to pay them, because marketers can be expensive. There's creative ways you can construct comp plans to hire them way sooner than you thought. So come next week, how to hire a killer marketer to grow your business. And if you're interested in me sitting down with you or our coaching team sitting down with you and learning about your business, putting together a plan for you, see if you'd be good fit to work together, be sure to text coach to 615-903-8108. You'll chat with the team. We'll set up a call. Make sure you leave that call with one unique thing you can do to grow your business in 2022 by double. So that's my guarantee. You'll end the call with one thing you didn't think of before that will help you grow the business. So if you'd like that, be sure to text coach 615-903-8108. And until next week, we'll see you. And if you know someone that would be a good producer, let me know. $50,000 founder's fee if you send us the right person. By the way, that's a recruiting strategy of its own. We'll talk about that next week, the $50,000 founder's fee. That catches your attention. And there's a methodology behind that. So we'll talk about that. Make sure we'll have a pro tip next week on how to use founder's fees to bring you people that you would never think you'd be able to get. It's a really good strategy if you do it well. And you don't have to have $50,000 in your bank to pay it the second they're hired. In fact, this isn't paid in lump sum. It's paid $10,000 a year for 5 years. So it builds in retention and it builds in quality because it's not just a lump sum payment from bringing your brother-in-law who's going to quit in 30 days. So more about that next week, some pro hiring tips and how to hire your first marketer. Y'all be good. See ya.